What's going on, fight fans? It's fight week. Ward Kovalev 2. I'm dumb late making a prediction for this fight. We're literally less than a week away. Saturday night, we are getting the rematch. All the fans were asking for immediately following the first fight. And back in November, I had picked Andre Ward to win a close decision, and it's funny because I feel like I've been predicting fights and doing these videos since like 2008, and I gotta say that the prediction as far as what I thought would transpire in the fight played out almost to a T in the sense of how I figured it was gonna play out. But though I did pick Ward, I thought Kovalev won the fight, just edged it. I've seen the fight 3 times in its entirety. I don't get caught up in the commentators and such, like when people say, "Oh, I'll turn it off." If you gotta turn the volume down to understand what you're seeing, then you probably don't understand what you're seeing. The commentator shouldn't sway a boxing fan who understands what they're watching. You know what I mean? So I've always found that kind of funny. But I had picked Ward to win the first fight. I said that I wouldn't be shocked if Ward is dropped for the first time, and that it would end up being a close fight. and I just thought Kovalev edged it. I had it 6-6, the knockdown being the deciding factor. And like I said, I saw the fight like 3 times, and I come to the same conclusion every single time. I don't argue with anybody as it relates to if you had it a draw, or if you had Ward by like a point. Like I've not argued one person at all. And between the crew, some of us thought, Ward won. Some of us thought Kovalev won. But it's not. It wasn't really anything to argue about because it was that close. Because when people were screaming robbery and Whitaker versus Chavez is the epitome of a robbery. Like if for the young fans who've never seen that fight, Pernell Whitaker, Julio Cesar Chavez. Watch that fight and then come back and tell me what your meaning of a robbery might be after that. But nevertheless, watching the fight, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, both guys showed their, I don't want to say, I guess you could say their best, but like it was a clash of styles. And what I was very impressed with Ward is that after the knockdown, man, he figured out a way to get back into the fight. Because by round 4, I had him down 4-0, and I'm talking with my people. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Because when was the last time we seen Ward even lose like 2 rounds, So Ward starts coming back, man. Starts, making it an inside fight, and you start to see Kovalev start to teeter off a little bit, But in between all that, he was still landing punches. You know what I'm saying? Like there was like this one point where Ward was, doing the wind up and then gets hit with a stiff jab, And I think Kovalev proved that he's a good boxer. The conditioning and maybe the overall game plan as far as having plan B, C, and D ready, I didn't see that in the fight. But again, it was still a really close fight. And Ward showed to me that he and we've known this anyway, that he can make adjustments in the middle of a fight. Kovalev didn't really show that. I think he probably stepped on the gas a little bit in like rounds 10 and 12, but as far as showing something different to Ward, he didn't do that. You know what I mean? So now going into a rematch, right? Again, this is another situation where I think this is going to be another somewhat close fight. But I have to lean in this case, and again, I picked him before, I gotta roll with him again. I think Andre Ward is the more diverse fighter, and I think he's gonna find a way to bring something different to the table than he did in the first fight. Because the thing with rematches, man, both of these guys know, they know each other now. Like that feeling out part is not gonna be there like in the first fight. And I expect Ward to start early, man. I mean, I think he has to, because I think Kovalev's the most dangerous between like rounds 1 and 5. And the whole story about whether or not Kovalev overtrained for this fight, well, look, there should be no excuses at this point. Because if it's a situation where he overtrained and rounds 5 and 6 come about and we're starting to see the same thing, we're going to start to question, like, were you really overtrained? But I think Kovalev, man, I don't think people should look at this like Kovalev is going to get whitewashed. And even amongst the crew, that's been like a little bit of an argument as to like how this is going to play out. But I have Ward winning a clear unanimous decision. I think he's going to make this a more of an inside fight, because if Kovalev's bread and butter is fighting you at range, because he wants to get you at the end of the punch. And I think that's where he was having some success early on, where he was throwing that jab from a good distance, and he was landing the right hands where and even the knockdown wasn't even like a hard, like, straight right hand. It was just like kind of like just in the exchange, and he got hit with like a flash knockdown. But again, Ward got up, man. So Ward's going into this fight saying, look, I've probably felt this guy's best punch. And again, adding that Ward just has more tools, in the bag. I always favor the boxer, or the guy who's the better boxer in rematches. And there's a lot of examples I can bring up, but you guys can search for yourself. But I feel Andre Ward is gonna make the proper adjustments that is gonna frustrate Sergey Kovalev, man. And and look, I won't be surprised if people criticize Andre Ward's style going into this fight and saying, he was just clinching him, and he was just, trying to make it an inside fight. Well, look, man, that's boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like, some styles you may not like, but it's boxing. Clinching is a part of boxing. The inside game is a part of boxing. What Kovalev's job is to do is to use his footwork to prevent Ward from getting on the inside. Use the jab. Make him respect Kovalev, or make Ward respect him early in the fight again. Landing something hard, or making it where, like, what if he gets another knockdown in the early in the fight? But I don't think there's gonna be any knockdowns in this fight. I think Kovalev's gonna he's gonna have a good fight, man. I think he's gonna have a good fight, but I think Ward is just gonna be the more I think he's gonna be the more effective guy in this fight, and I think he's gonna nullify that distance that Kovalev needs to really get his shots off, man. And that's pretty much it, man. I mean, I like Ward in this fight by unanimous decision, and I think Kovalev will know as the rounds progress if the conditioning from the last fight was an issue. Because if it's a situation where the rounds 5 and on look the same as the first fight, then that excuse is out the window, man. But we're gonna talk about it this week. We got the show coming on Wednesday. We're gonna be discussing the predict. We're gonna predict the fight, and the rest of the crew, ROD and my man Coltrane, Guard Your Girl Boxing, iTunes and SoundCloud. We're gonna be talking about the fight and just how we all see it playing out. The crew, I think it's kind of unanimous for the most part, but I mean, tune in and just get, you get the input as far as the breakdown as far as how we see it playing out. Guillermo Rigondeaux makes his return on the undercard as well. We haven't seen him in quite a while. He's fighting, I believe, Miguel Flores, and that'll be a treat in the sense for the hardcore fans that like to see Rigondeaux fight, man. So I'm going with Ward again, man. Unanimous decision, and in a clear unanimous decision where people are not going to be really arguing the outcome of the fight. So like I said, man, subscribe. Let me know who you think is going to win the fight this Saturday live on HBO pay-per-view. And until next time, I'm out of here. Peace.